Hello and welcome to our joint webinar from CodeTwo and GWAVA today. My name is Thomas Stegemann and I'm here with the colleagues from CodeTwo to give you an overview about powerful solutions for Microsoft Exchange and Office 365. As you already mentioned, you are in listen-only mode, so if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We will try to answer them, or you can just ask a question on the tool. That's not a problem. We will record the webinar, so afterwards you can have a look as well again on the webinar. So for now, CodeTwo is starting with the presentation, and who is starting? Tomislav, you are starting, right?
Yes, that is correct. Hello, everybody. My name is Przemysław. I will start with the first part of the CodeTwo webinar.
Okay, so I've switched the moderator, and now you can share your screen.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Again, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Przemysław. I'm a technical sales specialist with CodeTwo. CodeTwo is a leading worldwide provider of solutions for email server administrators, which means that we specialize in this part of this branch of software. We provide solutions for Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, and Google Apps. We specialize in data synchronizations, email signature management, migrations, backups, and generally what is called email flow and content control. CodeTwo was started in 2007, and initially we were working mostly on German markets. Now we expanded to Europe, US, UK, and Australia. Today we are a noted Microsoft partner. We receive lots of industry awards, but what we aim at most is a respected brand among our users and experts. Our products are currently used in over 28,000 companies in more than 100 countries, all continents, even in Antarctica. So this is to give you the main overview of who we are and what we do. Let's look at specific examples of the companies that use our software. We help Shell synchronize output data on all tankers. We also assist Facebook with integrating the newly acquired startups. Also, we manage email flow and signatures of French branch of UNICEF. Other, of course, not less important customers are T-Systems, Mitsubishi, Santander, McDonald's, even organizations like Supreme Court of the United States. For more clients, you can go to our website, view the list. Why did they choose our software? Because it's very simple to use, easy to deploy. It's been certified by Microsoft. We also offer 24-hour support in English and German. Lots of success stories, case studies available on our website, and lots of awards, which I mentioned before. This is what makes our software so popular. Now, our flagship products, of which we present two in a moment, are the CodeTwo Exchange Rules Pro. This is a software, it's a platform for managing signature disclaimers and also control mail flow on Exchange Server 2013, 2010, and 7. Other solutions we offer in terms of signatures for Exchange Server and Office 365 and Google Apps are CodeTwo Exchange Rules and CodeTwo Email Signatures. Next branch of the software we offer will be the migration software for Exchange and Office 365, and recently backup solutions with CodeTwo Backup for Office 365 and an Exchange Server. Just a few words about our flagship products before I present one of the solutions. Exchange Rules Pro, CodeTwo Exchange Rules Pro allows central management of signatures, disclaimers, and banners, but also offers DLP policies, email filtering, email attachment control, auto replies, legal email compliance. It also has API and SDK tools to create its own additional administration panels. The next solution would be the CodeTwo Office 365 migration, and allows very easy Exchange to Office 365 migrations. Migrates emails, calendars, contacts. that supports public folders migration with additional features of scheduling the migration and filtering items and folder types. What's very important, it allows uninterrupted service availability for end users, which means that the users can actually use their accounts while the migration is on. Similarly to Office 365, we offer a code-to-exchange migration that will be presented in a moment by my colleague Pavel. It's quite similar, so it offers very simple, very easy migration between Exchange environments, also cross-forest migrations, again allowing public folder structure and content replication, with additional features of scheduler, item filtering and folder filtering, and also an uninterrupted service availability for end users. And last but not least, our recent solution, recent software we offer is a CodeTwo backup for Office 365. Allows automatic and customizable local backups of content of Office 365 mailboxes. You can manage the software via very simple and intuitive GUI. It allows recovery to a granular level when you can actually access individual backup files. The program allows continuous backups or one-time backups depending on your requirements, and it offers legal compliance, saves the cloud space, and in terms of disaster recovery, it's considered a very useful tool. So to receive more information about our software, you can just contact us directly. You can see the contact information here. Let's just now take a look at what we would like to present today. The first solution for Exchange servers will be Exchange Rules Pro software. What you can see here actually is an email client or client machine, Windows 8. This one is hooked up to Exchange 2013 and will be working on these platforms today. Now, Exchange Rules Pro, I just mentioned before, the program offers signatures, disclaimers control, additionally full mail flow control with DLP policies, with attachment control, with auto-replies and auto-responders, lots more actions which I'll briefly present during this webinar. Let's just take a look at what it offers. So what you can see here is the program's administration panel. Let's just go briefly over it. At the top we can see just main toolbar with features of importing the settings, with additional features of rule tester, which allows you to actually test the signatures before you apply them to live environment. The program offers also access rights control, which allows to give access to non-administrative users to control the software and make sure that only these users have access to the program, and the features of controlling signatures. The program settings with send items update features, with secure messages and other settings allowing the program to work on your Exchange environment server. The server monitor feature, which basically allows to check which Exchange servers are processed by the program. Also, this feature offers licensing information to the licensing monitor as well. And last but not least, template library allows to use predefined template of signatures. And in a moment, we'll try to use one of these to create a sample signature for Exchange emails. Okay, and so this is the administration console that users selected to manage the software can work with. The program also offers second module or second service, which is installed directly on Exchange server, and this technically is stamping your emails with signatures or performs other actions specified by the user. The program works in the background. You can see this service listed on the list of services of Exchange server here. The main one is the engine. This technically responsible for performing all the program's action. Okay, so that will be all for the technical side. Now we'll just try to create a sample signature and a sample rule to add it to Exchange emails. As you can see here to the left, we have a list of sample rules that can help you understand the program's logics and the program's performance. Let's just try with a new one. I would like to select or create a rule that will be adding a signature to our users. So first of all, I will need to simply name it. Let's just call it test rule. Next step is to select the conditions, which means when we would like the signature to apply. Now, in this conditions field, we can select sender that is internal, which means that the signature I will create in a moment will be applied to all emails sent by users' mailboxes, technically residing on this Exchange server. But of course, we can have more options here. We can look at the recipients. We can apply signatures depending on the subject and the content of an email. We can add signatures depending on the email being internal, incoming or outgoing, so the direction of a message. We can specify different signatures for new emails or replies or forwards or meeting requests. The program can also look at attachments, which I will discuss in a moment. And also secure messages, digitally signed and encrypted messages are also supported by the program. Let's just look at the very simple scenario of applying a signature to internal users. So this is what I selected. Now, next tab is exceptions. I will not be specifying any exceptions, but generally you can exclude users from having a signature added. Now let's go to actions. Now one of the actions the program can do for you, if you can take a look, the list is actually quite long, but let's just select simple one of inserting a signature. And of course we'll have to create such a template. To do that, I'll just click on edit to edit or create a signature, and we can actually see a new window opening. It's a template editor which allows creating a signature. At the top you can see a more or less regular toolbar with features typical for editors with font selection, with paragraph selection. The program allows inserting logos, pictures of the company, hyperlinking. You can work with tables as well. But the feature I would like to turn your attention to would be the placeholders, because mostly this is what we would like to have. The program allows to create a template of a signature which then is applied dynamically to whoever is sending an email. So instead of creating a signature with actual name, first name and last name of a user, I would use the Active Directory attribute that will simply match sender of an email, and when I'm sending such message, my first name and last name will be available here. If other users will be sending an email, the signature will be updated with these users' personal information. So I can use those placeholders, as we call them. These are actually placeholders reaching to Active Directory, and all the information here is supported: emails, notes, office, PO box, photo, postal code, phone and fax numbers. Additionally, we can use more placeholders, not only from Active Directory but also from Exchange server as well. Okay, so basically this is the main idea of how this editor works. You can use placeholders to create dynamic signature that is applied on the fly to whoever's sending an email. Let me just close this real quick. I would like to use what's already set up in the software. So I'll just use a template. Now if we click on load template, we have a selection of different signatures. You can of course modify them freely. I would like to use, let's have the first one available. So if we edit this quickly, we can see that this signature will display the company name, first name, last name of a user, title, email, phone numbers, additional information, address information of the company, and a disclaimer text at the bottom, of course, with the company logo. So let's, just in case, we can convert this to HTML, to plain text, and this is the plain text version of the signature. Okay, so I just created or used actually the template for signature which I would like to use in my email. Let's just save this. Last tab we have is additional options, so we can select what the program will do if this given rule is applied. So the program can proceed to next one or just stop at this rule. Also we have a time range when you can select when the frequency that the rules for signatures will be working. We can have daily, weekly, monthly, or custom setup rules. In this case, I will not use any. So let's just save this. Okay, to sum up real quick, what we have done right now is we created a test rule that will apply this signature here to all internal users, so all users residing on this Exchange server. And that is all. The rule has been set up, the signature is ready, so we can try to send an email to see if that works. Okay, let's open Outlook client, new email, and I will just address this to one of the test users on this Exchange. Okay, as you can see, there is no signature when you create the message, compose a message. This is due to the fact that the program works as a transport agent on Exchange. Only when a message gets here on Exchange server, it will be stamped by the program's engine and the signature will be applied. Now, to work this around, we offer a feature which is called Send Items Update. This will, in a moment I'll show you how it works. This will update the sent email with the signature applied by the program. So you can view this in your sent items folder. So let's just send it. Okay, so we have this email sent. We can just switch to the recipient inbox. In a moment, this message should be available here. And let me just open this. As you can see, the signature has been applied. It does have all the required information that the program found on the administrator's account. So the main part or the main task was applied here. Signature was added to the signature, to the email. Let's go back to the client, and in the sent items, we can actually view what we have sent to a recipient. This is the signature used by the program, and we can view this in the sent items folder. Now, as you noticed before, the program offers a lot of different actions. Inserting signatures is only one of them. If I just expand a list of actions through the Add button, you can see that the program can automatically add attachments to emails, right? So we can set up a folder which will be applying specified files to specified emails. Of course, you can select this in the conditions. Another action the program can do for you is to auto-respond. We can quickly take a look at sample rule for auto-responding, and the program's action here is to send auto-response with selected text. Additionally, the program will attach a file from a selected folder, and this is the reply or the auto-response that the sender will see once the program performs it. The conditions are specified here as well. All incoming emails sent to sales department will apply such auto-respond message. Another action the program will offer would be to apply full composition. For example, blocking messages. Some messages will not be used or would need to be stopped in Exchange environment, will not be sent out because of the program's block message action. The program can also look at attachments and compress them. A similar option is to remove attachments from emails. So if you decide that your emails are too heavy and the recipient senders send out very big emails with lots of attachments, you can tell the program to compress the attachments or also to remove them from emails and just save them in a specified location where the recipients can access them. Additional features we can offer here as well would be to remove keywords from the email, so the program can scan the content of your email and just selected words can be removed or masked. A similar feature will be remove sensitive content as well. If we could take a look at DLP filter, the program offers a set of dictionaries, what we call them, in this case credit cards. So if an email contains a phrase from credit cards, like a credit card number in this case. We can make the program remove this information, block the email, or just mask this information because we wouldn't like our credit card numbers to be sent out of organization. Let's continue. One of useful features as well will be to force email format. This is typically used with mobile devices when we'd like to have HTML signatures applied to all emails, not only sent from Outlook, but also from mobile devices as well. So the list of actions the program can do, as you can see, is quite long, starting with signatures and disclaimers, going through attachments control, DLP policies, email content filtering, autoresponders, and removing information from emails. To sum up, the program gives you basically a platform for managing your email flow for legal compliance through the same disclaimers and signatures and actions that allow our emails to be processed properly. Now, that is basically all I wanted to present regarding the software. I understand that the next part of the presentation will be held by my colleagues, so let me just forward to my colleague Pavel, who will show you in a moment how to migrate Exchange content. So I thank you for your time, and I will take over to Pavel.
Hello everybody, my name is Paul, and as my colleague already introduced, I will be presenting CodeTwo Exchange migration software. This product was developed mainly for the purpose of migration on-premise Exchange mailboxes from the source server to the target server environment. What is essential about the product is that it migrates the content of mailboxes. It needs mailboxes already created on the target server environment in order to be able to migrate the content from the source to the target. And so here we have a virtual machine environment that I have created for the purpose of this presentation. And here is the client workstation that I have connected to the source server domain. I have also target Exchange 2013 and source 2003 environments. And what I'm going to do is to install the software directly on the workstation connected to the source server domain. There are advantages and disadvantages of this kind of solution. Basically, one of the requirements of our software, or maybe limitations, is that you shouldn't install it on the machine which uses some different application working on the MAPI libraries, just to make sure that there is going to be no MAPI conflict. So you need to make sure that you install the software on a proper machine. Also, with the configuration, it is essential to use the domain administrator account. And for the configuration of the target server environment, you need to use account which has impersonation rights already established. So here you can see that MAPI calibration data objects are a part of the installation. So we just agree to install those. The installation is pretty straightforward, as you can see here. We just click next, we click install. And after the installation is finished, we will see the administration panel, and we should be automatically forwarded to the source server connection wizard, which is what is our source server environment. We choose the account that is used for our configuration. We filter the domains that we want to migrate from. The time filtering is an interesting feature. Actually, one of our colleagues from marketing department has introduced an interesting article on our official blog, so you can check how to utilize the time filtering to have different kind of outcomes for your migration. When we click next, we need to choose what types of folders of items we want to migrate. So you can choose to migrate everything at once, or you can specify only certain types of folders for the migration. This option is checked on by default. What does it do? It allows you to rewrite the exchange addresses as the SMTP addresses. So imagine a situation where you have an item, let's say this is a message, already migrated from the source to the target, and you're on the target mailbox and want to reply or forward the message. Basically, with the exchange addresses, the thing might be complicated here, but once we have migrated by changing exchange addresses to SMTP addresses, the autocomplete will fill the recipient field with appropriate information, so there is going to be no problem with that. So I would definitely advise to use that functionality. So here we have a simple checklist and verification. If everything is correct, the software is going to show us all green check marks. So that's great. We click Finish, and automatically we should find ourselves in the configuration of the target server environment. We can use auto-discover, but it is a simple task to just use the IP as well for our configuration purpose. We'll just connect to target server using appropriate administrator account as well. Password, and once again. So after we specify the account, this account, as I mentioned earlier, needs to have impersonation rights just to make sure that you're going to be able to utilize the PowerShell scripts and comments, because our software is based on the PowerShell engine. So here in the checklist is where we see the configuration. This is an expected product behavior. I want to show you what happens if something is not correctly configured. In this particular case, those yellow triangles that you can see are the result of not having a two-way trust relationship between the source and the target server environment. It is essential to have the trust relationship. Otherwise, you will be able to manually enter the SMTP addresses of the target server mailboxes when choosing the target accounts. But in our situation, where I'm just going to show you a migration of a single mailbox, this is not big. This is not big deal. So we can just finish, and despite those warnings, which aren't crucial, finish the migration. No, we do not want to verify again. We have a trial here, so this is the information that we get in such a situation. Okay, so we're basically like 80% of the configuration is already done. What we need to do right now is to choose the account that we would like to test the migration with. Let's say we use Jerry Cooper. Let's just confirm and log to this account and sign in. So as you can see, this account is a clean one. I just created this account for the purpose of our migration. It doesn't have any inbox information, any calendar, any contacts, anything at all. And what we will do here is we're going to use this target server account by pasting the SMTP address of it and clicking OK. We just configure this account to be our target mailbox. And there is only one thing to do from here. We're just going to click Start button, and software evaluates how many items are on the source mailbox. Then it shows the migration status. As you can see, the migration was pretty quick. That's because there was a small number of items on the source server account. So it shows us that it have already, yeah, so as you can see, those are the items in the inbox. Administrator at sourcedomain.lan has sent an email to himself, and actually it did twice. And also I've created on the calendar of this source server account an appointment for yesterday, and this has already been migrated to our target server account. So as you can see, the configuration and functionality of the software is pretty straightforward. And what I can say, apart from what I already told you, is to focus on the interface on the administration panel here. As you can see in the top left corner, we have a start button to start our initial migration. Let's imagine that you have a large number of mailboxes to migrate. You would probably do the migration in batches, right? So if you migrate one part of mailboxes, start migrating the other part, and in the meantime, there were some new items created on those mailboxes that have already been migrated. So what you do in this case, you click the rescan button, and this helps you to migrate only new items. The software will check for the differences between what have already been migrated and what is new, and it will only migrate this new content. Here's how the scheduler looks like. So this is basically used if you want to avoid migrating during some biggest traffic during the business week. You can configure the software just to take care of the migrations over the weekend or holiday breaks. And Automatch uses the first name, last name algorithm. So if your source and target server mailboxes use this criteria and have corresponding first name, last name information as it should be configured, you can use Automatch. And the last part are the concurrency settings. So what it means that is you configure how many mailboxes you want to migrate simultaneously. So if you have good network bandwidth, if you want to speed up the migration process, you can increase this value from the default, which is 2, to like 10 or 15, and this will help you increase the speed of your migration. So that's basically how our software works. The Office 365 migration difference is that the target server configuration wizard is a little bit different because the target server environment is different, but the basic interface looks exactly the same. So thank you very much for being here with us here. I will now pass the mic to Thomas, who will do his part of presentation. And thank you once again. Bye.
Thank you, Pavel. Okay, I will switch over the organizer and now show my screen again. Okay, so now we are talking about our email management solution, which is archiving with Retain. So Retain is product, and As you can see, my name is Thomas Stegemann. I'm the technical sales manager here in Guava EMEA. So we are responsible for the whole of Europe. And to a little bit better understand about Guava, we are a company which is where the headquarters is based in Montreal, Canada. We have offices in the US, in Germany and UK. Recently we have opened a new office in Australia and India, so we are really around the world. We have about 300 Guava partners, channel partners who are selling our software, and about 15,000 customers in over 60 countries around the globe. We have strategic partnerships with Microsoft, with Novell and BlackBerry, because we have different solutions or different connectors inside our solution, and we can do unified archiving of different platforms into one single archive system. So the content today is about unified archiving. We look a little bit about the features, architecture of the product, the requirements you need, and I have some reference slides at the end. So first of all, how can you benefit from archiving? There are three main benefits. Legal benefits, so everything when you have an ongoing lawsuit, if you do have to fit compliance rules and so on. So there are many rules in every country throughout Europe which leads you to archive messages and to be compliant. There are economic benefits because we can save storage costs, we can save licensing costs, and so on when you use an archiving solution. And technical benefits, the last part is we can save a lot of storage in comparison to your live email system. We can hold old data from prior employees, or even if you have Office 365 and want to disable accounts, we can hold the whole data of that system inside of Retain. So what do we do? So we archive messages and more. We archive messages, appointments, so everything what is in the Exchange mailbox. Then we do a full text indexing of the message and the attachments so that you can search not only on the messages but as well on the attachments, and that very fast. We do a job-based archiving, meaning you can define an off time archiving during the night when nobody is working, when there is enough bandwidth, and so on, so that we really can focus on archiving and then quickly archive everything out of the journal and user mailboxes. We don't only do journal mailboxes, we also do the user mailboxes. We archive the folder structure from the time of the archiving job, meaning that we don't move inside the archive. The archive is only readable, so the user can't delete anything, can't change anything, but he can search, he can restore messages, or he can use his Outlook client to access the archive. And as well, we have an PST migration tool, so even if you are currently having PST files around the network, we can migrate them into the user mailboxes so that the user has access to the PST files again, or we will migrate the format into our archive format, and then the user can search and can do everything what he can do with every other mail inside the archive. We have a centralized search interface beside the native client integration, where the user can search all mailboxes he has access to. So we will we will reflect the delegation rights from Exchange so that a user can not only search his own mailbox, he can search all mailboxes he has delegation rights on, and also you can give additional rights to other mailboxes, meaning that if an employee is leaving, you can give another employee rights on that mailbox so he can search through that message also. We have a native client integration into Outlook. You will see a screenshot later on that one, where the user can download messages, so have caching from the archive. Let's say he wants to take his laptop with him, and then he can download, for example, 1 year of data from the archive and keeps it on his laptop. Or he can directly search in the archive, and the data is also cached directly on the user's machine, so he can directly work with it. We have an end-user access via web, so there is a plugin not only for the Outlook on the client PC, there is also for the Outlook Web Access plugin, so that he can have a single sign-on directly into the web access of Retain. We do litigation hold on messages, so you can click a message and then set a litigation hold on the message, meaning if an automatic deletion process, because sometime you want to get rid of the data after a certain amount of years, even if a message should be deleted by the automated process, the litigation hold will hold the message inside the archive so that it doesn't get deleted. And we have export and publishing functionalities directly from the web access. You can export messages including all attachments into PDF files, and there is a publishing tool with which you can download data, export it, put it on a DVD or on a USB drive, and then gives that to a lawyer or to a user who leaves the company if he's allowed to take the data with him. So I didn't mention one thing. We do single instance storage, meaning we only store an attachment once. Doesn't matter how often you send a message or you send an attachment to email addresses or to the mailboxes, it will only be stored once on the Retain server. So we can save a lot of space with that technology. So what do we need in the background? We need a Windows operating server or a SUSE Linux Enterprise server in the background. We need a storage for sure to store the attachments. That can be local storage, a storage attached network, or it can be an EMC Centera, or it can be NetApp with SnapLock, so we support warm devices as well. As a database, we support MySQL, MS SQL, PostgreSQL, and Oracle to hold the metadata of the messages for search purposes and so on. So the Retain architecture, on the left side, you see a message system, a collaboration system, a mobile device. So we can archive from Facebook, Twitter, we can archive from LinkedIn, Jammer, we can archive mobile phones, meaning BlackBerry, Android devices, and also iOS devices, and we can archive from message systems, Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, we can archive from GroupWise, we can archive from Google Mail, Google Apps. Then it will be stored on the Retain server in the middle, and the indexing is done, the data is put into the storage on the background, and the user gets access to the data directly. We have an easy to use Web Administration Toolkit. There are 4 main parts on the left side. We have an overview where you can find the documentation, the audit log. So everything you do is audited. Everything a user does is audited. If he opens a message, if a message was archived, if a message was forwarded, and so on, everything is audited. You see the system logs, and there is also a statistic and reporting server to get statistics over the archive, how many messages, how big is the archive, and so on. Then we have the data collection. There you set up a schedule, so when the job should start, a profile, what you really want to archive. Do you want to archive notes? Do you want to archive private messages, and so on. And then we have a worker who's doing the job. The worker is an intelligent part of the software which can be placed if you have an Exchange system with multiple sites, multiple branches. Then you can place the worker locally. It will grab the messages from Exchange and send it to the retained server. And if the attachment is bigger than 2K, it will only generate a hash code and ask the retained server, do you have this attachment already, or do I need to send it again? And then you combine these into a job, and the job then you assign a mailbox to it or the journal mailbox, and then it runs in the background and archives the messages. You have the user management, where you can add audit users, where you can set rights for the groups, and the deletion management, where you can, after a while, set a deletion management rule, for example, that you want to delete messages older than 10 years. And you have the server configuration, where you can set in the server configuration, for example, the database connection, the indexing, the storage, and so on. The rules configuration, meaning that we can tag messages based on a category or whatever, and do certain types with it so that you can easier find messages afterwards in the archive. The module configuration is to configure the connector, the module for Exchange, for Office 365, for BlackBerry, for social messaging, for Android, and so on. We have a statistics server, and the last part, the licensing. Here is a screenshot of the current web interface inside Retain. You have your folder structure on the left side, and you see we also archive public folders, so the user has access to his public folders even in the archive. He can access the message, open the message, view the message, restore the message if he has the right to. This user in this case doesn't have the right to do that, but I will show you live that this that you can have this option as well. Then we have the Outlook client integration, meaning here you can see you can set the Retain sync so that it downloads data, it search data, you can set the settings, and you can launch Retain directly so that it opens the web interface. Now let me quickly change to the web interface in English and show you live what is possible. Give me just a second for that one. I will quickly open the mailbox and switch it over to this screen. So now you see I'm in a mailbox, and here is a public folder, and I can open, for example, the public folder, but there are no messages in that folder currently. So let's open this one, and here you see we have messages in here, and I can quickly go through the messages here. Even though we have the option to archive recoverable items, meaning if you delete messages from your Exchange mailbox, they go on the Exchange server into a dumpster, into the recoverable items, and we can archive them. So if the archiving job is running in the time where the messages are stored in the dumpster, we can be sure to get every message. And beside the folder structure, we can also search for messages. So just type in a word and do a search, and then it should come up with everything it finds about Guava in the different mails and mailboxes. So you see here in the back, it's a mailbox of Clark, it's in the inbox, it was sent to everyone, and it was from Robert. So you can really directly see. Then you can select messages, you can forward the message, you can restore message into your system. And if you have the right to delete messages out of the archive, you can also delete messages, but that's not a standard right for a user. So back to my presentation. Some scenarios and customers we have a customer called Halberg Guss. They do this big motor blocks, and they had the problem to handle PST files, and they wanted to migrate from OpenExchange to Exchange. So they set up the new system. They exported the PSD files, imported them directly into Retain, and then switched over to the new Exchange system. And they are very happy with the fast search inside of Retain. Another Swedish company who does women's clothes is Gudrun Sjöden. They had implemented Retain in less than 4 hours, and they love the fast search of emails inside the system. And the last reference I want to show you is the Ritz London. They implemented Retain for compliance needs, and they migrated from GroupWise to Exchange with our solution. So that is my small presentation, and I now have the honor to switch back to slide 1. Okay, so, and if you have questions, now is the time to ask them in the chat room. We are now all available for questions. So we have Pavel and Przemysław available for questions, and there is already one question coming in. There are several questions. It is about Exchange Rules Pro. Is there an option to attach a signature to only emails that are external and or internal in the rules?
Okay, thank you for the question. Let me address this. Yes, as I was showing the conditions, one of the conditions to insert signatures was to select message type, for example, or message direction. You can also select senders or recipients, which are internal or external. So the options for when a signature should be applied are basically, I would say, limitless. So naturally it's possible to apply different signatures for different recipients, internal or external.
Okay. The second question was concerning the migration tool. When a user moves an item that has already been migrated, does the rescan option resend create a duplicate, item, or is it moved?
No, the migration software was developed, the rescan functionality is basically developed for the purpose of migrating only the new items. So in a situation where you have did like the first part of the migration, because before the actual cut over to the target server environment, you use the rescan button to migrate only those new items that have been received or created by the end user in the mailbox. In the meantime, in the time frame between the initial migration and the cutover, and only those new items are going to be migrated. The software stores its own cache file in program data directory. So as long as this cache file is not manipulated, is not deleted, you can make sure that the duplicates will not show up on the target mailbox.
Okay, thank you for that. And the third question was concerning Guava Retain. How often should the journal be archived to accomplish 100% retention? It should, you can run it daily because we have a functionality to delete messages which we archive from the retention, from the journal mailbox, so you can run it daily to accomplish 100% retention with Retain. The other question regarding webinars, all webinars can be, or webinars for Guava can be found on our website. We will link every webinar there directly. But yes, I can send a link about the last webinars to the customer who's asking. Thanks for the answers. Okay, any other questions? Let me see if we have other questions. Oh yeah, there is a question. So there are some other questions. Is it possible to resize the windows there the rule names are, where the rule names are in?
I assume this is a question for Exchange Rules Pro, right? So,
right.
Of course, I was not sure actually. Well, currently it's not possible to resize, but this is a good thing to add to feature requests. Basically, it's not possible to resize the window. I mean the left window with a list of rules. You can of course switch to Overview tab for each separate rule, and then you can see the entire name. So that might be a workaround.
Okay. So the next question is: can you use Exchange Rules Pro with an Exchange Online server within an Office 365 plan?
For this question, well, let me answer this way. That depends. If the environment is a hybrid environment with Office 365 and Exchange on-premise, where the mail flow is controlled by Exchange on-premise, then yes, you can. If this is solely Office 365 environment, we have a separate software for Office 365 signatures. So Exchange Rules Pro will not work with Office 365 signatures only.
Okay, thank you. Then there is a question on Retain again. Is it possible to archive Yahoo Messenger conversation with Retain? Yes, we have a module to archive Yahoo Messenger, Google Talk, AIM Messenger with Retain Social. So I have a licensed Exchange Rule Pro on Exchange 2010. Can I use it for 365? You mentioned already that it depends on if it can work with Office 365.
Yes, that's correct. That depends. Let me just add directly to the person asking the question. Please contact us either at sales or support at CodeTwo.com for details.
Okay. Is there a console for Code2 Exchange rules that we can install for marketing department use only, not on Exchange server?
Yes, so let me answer this question. As my colleague Przemysław showed during the presentation, there is a access rights management configuration, so you can install the software directly on the server, mail processing server, and configure the access rights to give, for example, marketing director or some other person who doesn't have domain admin permissions the access rights to the administration panel of our software. And you define what particular rights will that user have, including the rights and permissions of particular rules, whether they are going to be able to create rules, edit rules, which rules they are going to be able to edit, if they are going to be able to delete them. So everything you can specify this way, so that no remote desktop connection is going to be needed, or solely the administration panel with particular user who has been granted with permissions.
Okay. Another question regarding email signatures for Office 365. Is there a minimum exchange plan required? Or more specific, will it work with the Office 365 Business Premium plan?
Thank you for the question. Yes, actually there is no, technically it's no difference which plan is being utilized, so the program will add signatures to all the plans. Only the technical part is required, which means connecting to Office 365 in the software, but it works for all the plans.
Okay. So another question on Guava Retain. Does it work with Exchange 2010? Yes, we work up from 2007. We can work with Exchange because we use the Exchange web services which were introduced in Exchange 2007. So everything from 2007 and newer. And there is a question on licensing cost for 100 users. I will, or my colleague will separately answer that question to the person who asked that via email. Thank you for the question. That are all questions which I can see currently. So if there are not any more questions, I would say thank you for Code2 and thank you for all the attendees who have joined the webinar today. If you have afterwards any question, don't hesitate to contact whether Code2 or Guava with your questions.